Have you ever wondered whether it is possible to sever ties with someone, even if they are family or a longtime friend? Is it right, or even compassionate, to walk away from those who may have been close to you at one point in life? Gautama Buddha once said, "You cannot heal in the same environment where you got sick." This profound statement invites us to reflect on our relationships. Sometimes, maintaining certain connections can cause more harm than good. But how do you know when it's time to end a relationship, even one that seems unbreakable due to its history or blood ties? The following story explores these 9 signs, drawing wisdom from Zen and Buddhist teachings. In a quiet world where inner peace is a greater treasure than gold, the decision to cut ties isn't about judgment or anger, it's about self-preservation, healing, and the journey toward enlightenment. The beginning, the quiet monk and the burdened traveler. There was once a traveler who, weary from his long journey through the forest of life, arrived at a serene temple. His heart was heavy, not from the miles he had walked but from the burdens he carried, burdens of friendships and family that weighed him down, leaving him restless, confused, and anxious. He sought the guidance of a monk known for his profound wisdom and deep understanding of human suffering. The monk, sitting in meditation near a quiet stream, welcomed the traveler. After listening to his troubles, the monk simply asked, "Why do you carry what is no longer yours to bear?" This question puzzled the traveler. "But how do I know what to let go of?" he asked. The monk smiled, as though the answer was hidden in plain sight. When your heart knows the truth, it becomes heavy with the burden of denial. But I will guide you. There are 9 signs, 9 truths, that tell you when it is time to end every contact, even if it's with someone as close as a friend or family. Listen, and let your heart decide. 1. Constant disrespect. The monk began his tale. The first sign is when someone constantly disrespects you, your values, or your boundaries. The traveler's eyes widened, recalling the many times his boundaries were violated by those he loved. He always thought it was his duty to endure, to be understanding. But the monk's words made him reflect. Is patience worth more than peace? The monk continued, in Zen, we teach that respect is the foundation of all harmonious relationships. If someone cannot honor your essence, they dishonor your spirit. A true connection is rooted in mutual respect. When that is broken, the bond itself begins to rot. This is the first sign that it's time to sever ties. 2. Emotional manipulation. The monk moved on to the second sign. Emotional manipulation is like a shadow, always lurking, but it's hard to see until you become still enough to notice. The traveler remembered a friend who always twisted situations to make him feel guilty or responsible for things he didn't do. He thought this was the nature of relationships, that love meant carrying someone else's emotional burden. No, the monk interrupted his thoughts. Manipulation is a form of control. Buddha teaches us that true love and friendship do not bind us, they free us. Emotional manipulation is a sign that the other person is trying to control you, not love you. It is a toxin that will drain your spirit if left unchecked. 3. Lack of growth. The third sign, the monk explained, was more subtle but just as important. Look at the relationships in your life. Are they helping you grow? Are you becoming wiser, more compassionate, more aware? Or are you stuck in old patterns? The traveler had never considered this before. He had relationships that seemed stagnant, friends who were still caught up in the trivialities of life, while he longed to find deeper meaning. He felt guilty for wanting more, but the monk reassured him. Gautama Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." Relationships that do not foster growth are like chains. They hold you back. It is not wrong to seek out connections that elevate your soul. 4. One-sided relationships. The monk continued, "Have you ever noticed relationships where you are the one who gives and gives, but receive little in return?" The traveler nodded. His heart ached as he thought of his family, who always asked for his time, energy, and resources but seldom offered support when he was in need. In Buddhism, balance is crucial, the monk said. The universe itself is balanced by the forces of giving and receiving. When you are always the giver, you become depleted. This is the fourth sign. Relationships should nourish both sides. If you are constantly pouring from your cup and never having it refilled, it's time to reconsider the relationship. 5. Repeated betrayal of trust. The traveler's face darkened as the monk spoke of the fifth sign. Trust is the root from which relationships grow. Without it, nothing can survive. He had been betrayed many times by friends who broke promises, by family members who gossiped behind his back. Each time, he forgave, thinking that this was the path of compassion, but the monk corrected him. Forgiveness is indeed virtuous, but so is wisdom. To forgive does not mean to forget. Buddha teaches that we must learn from our experiences. Repeated betrayal is a sign that the relationship has lost its foundation. Without trust, even the strongest ties will crumble. Do not be afraid to walk away when trust is broken beyond repair. 6. Chronic negativity. The monk paused for a moment, allowing the sound of the flowing stream to fill the silence. Then, he spoke of the sixth sign. There are people who carry darkness with them, like a cloud. No matter what you do, they are always negative, always complaining, always seeing the worst in life. The traveler sighed deeply, thinking of a family member who was always bitter, always angry, always dragging him down with their negativity. It had taken a toll on him, draining his energy and leaving him with little joy. Buddha said, "We are shaped by our thoughts, we become what we think." Chronic negativity will infect your soul if you let it. You must protect your inner peace by distancing yourself from those who are perpetually negative. This is the sixth sign that it's time to let go. 7. Manipulative use of guilt. The seventh sign, the monk said, is more insidious. There are those who will use guilt to keep you tied to them, making you feel as though you owe them something simply because of your relationship. The traveler clenched his fists as he recalled the many times his family used guilt to control his decisions, reminding him of sacrifices they had made or debts he had to repay. It was as though he could never be free, always tethered by an invisible chain of guilt. Buddha teaches us the path of liberation, the monk said softly. We are not bound by the past, nor by the expectations of others. Guilt is a tool of control, not love. When someone uses guilt to manipulate you, they are chaining your soul. You must release yourself from these chains. 8. Lack of emotional support. The monk's voice grew gentler as he spoke of the eighth sign. In times of need, when your heart is heavy and your spirit is low, do the people in your life lift you up? Or are they nowhere to be found? The traveler had always been the strong one, the one who others leaned on. But when he needed support, his family and friends were distant, uninterested, or unavailable. He had convinced himself that he didn't need their support, that he was strong enough on his own, but no one is meant to walk this path alone, the monk said. Buddha's teachings remind us of the importance of community and support. If those closest to you cannot be there when you need them, it is a sign that the relationship is no longer serving you. You deserve people who will stand with you through joy and sorrow. 9. You feel drained and unfulfilled. The final sign was the most personal and perhaps the hardest to recognize. At the end of the day, after spending time with this person, how do you feel? Are you uplifted, energized, and fulfilled? Or are you drained, tired, and empty? The traveler realized that many of his relationships left him feeling exhausted, as though he had lost a part of himself in every interaction. He had always assumed this was normal, that relationships required sacrifice. But the truth, the monk said, is that true relationships nourish your soul. If you constantly feel drained, it is because the relationship is not in harmony. Buddha teaches us to honor the energy within us, to protect it, and to cultivate it. When a relationship leaves you depleted, it is a sign that it is time to walk away. As the monk finished his tale, the traveler sat in silence, absorbing the wisdom he had received. His heart felt lighter, but also heavy with the knowledge of what he had to do. I have seen all 9 signs, he said quietly. But how do I walk away, especially when it's family or a longtime friend? The monk placed a hand on the traveler's shoulder. Walking away is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of compassion, for yourself and for them. You cannot grow in an environment that stifles your spirit. Sometimes, letting go is the kindest thing you can do, for it allows both you and the other person to find your own paths, even if they must diverge. The traveler nodded, but doubt still clouded his mind. What if they don't understand? What if I am seen as selfish or ungrateful? The monk smiled gently, as though he had already anticipated these questions. Buddha teaches us that we cannot control the thoughts of others, only our own actions and intentions. If your intention is pure, if it comes from a place of love for yourself and them, then you must not worry about how others perceive you. People often mistake self-preservation for selfishness, but the truth will reveal itself in time. You are not responsible for their understanding, you are responsible for your own peace. The traveler's shoulders relaxed. It was as though a burden had been lifted, one he hadn't even realized he was carrying. He had been so caught up in maintaining relationships out of guilt, obligation, and fear of judgment, that he had forgotten to ask himself what his heart truly needed. The monk continued, "It is important to remember that ending contact doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't even mean you have to harbor ill feelings. It simply means that their presence in your life is no longer aligned with your growth, your peace, or your well-being. Love them from a distance if you must, but love yourself enough to walk away." The traveler felt something deep inside him shift. The answers were clearer now. The road ahead was still difficult, but he knew what he had to do. There would be no anger, no drama, just a quiet decision to protect his peace and honor his own path. He understood now that some connections, even family and long-term friends, are not meant to last a lifetime. The next morning, the traveler stood at the temple gates, ready to continue his journey. The monk walked beside him as the sun rose, casting a golden light over the horizon. "Remember," the monk said, "this is not the end of your story or theirs. Sometimes, paths that separate for a while may cross again, and sometimes they do not. What matters is that you walk your path with wisdom, with compassion, and with an open heart." The traveler bowed deeply in gratitude, not just for the monk's wisdom, but for the clarity that had come from within. He realized that the monk had not given him anything new, the answers had always been inside him, waiting for him to listen, as he stepped onto the road. He no longer felt the heaviness that had burdened him when he first arrived. He felt light, free, and most importantly, at peace with the choices he would make in the days to come. In Zen and Buddhist teachings, the path to enlightenment is not just about meditating in silence or seeking the divine, it is about living in harmony with oneself. Sometimes, this means making difficult decisions, such as ending relationships that no longer serve your spiritual and emotional growth. The traveler's journey teaches us that while family and friends hold special places in our hearts, they do not have the right to drain our energy, disrespect our boundaries, or stunt our growth. The 9 signs are not calls for immediate separation but guides for deep reflection. Constant disrespect, emotional manipulation, lack of growth, one-sided relationships, repeated betrayal, chronic negativity, manipulative guilt, lack of emotional support, and feeling drained, these are all indicators that a relationship may be harming more than helping. When we ignore these signs, we suffer silently. But by listening to them and acting with compassion for ourselves, we embrace the teachings of Buddha, that self-love and peace are not luxuries, they are our birthright. So, if you find yourself questioning whether to end a relationship, even with family or friends, remember the traveler's story. The hardest path is often the most rewarding. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you create space for healing, growth, and the relationships that will truly nourish your soul. This journey, though difficult, is one of self-compassion, wisdom, and, ultimately, liberation. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.